Hi everybody, it's Sandy here and it's time for a rose heart reading. As you noticed, it's got a slightly different flavour to the reading for this month. I'm going to shift these readings to do monthly readings that will have a very slightly different focus. So as you can see, I'm in a slightly different place in the Rosy Temple today, and you may just be able to see out behind me the beautiful roses that sit on the perimeter of the property here. So we are in the high vibe end of the cottage, and yeah, I just felt that it was the right time to come and do the reading for you today. The energy when we come into these full and new moons seems to be a real pulse point, and I'm really noticing that for myself there is a contraction and expansion that is happening seemingly more intensely than it has done in prior times. So actually doing the readings prior to the full or the new moon doesn't seem to be a flow for me right now. So I'm following the energy, following what seems to be the right thing to do, which is to come and do something that brings us in an integration. It brings us in an opportunity to integrate these energies and be able to work with them and be able to ride the wave of the potentiality that comes with every one of these contractions and expansions. So, just a nice, gentle and easy breath in and out to bring us back into body. You know, this is the calling at this time. It's so much about reminding us to come into self-care and to really tune in to what is needed for us at that moment. And this brings us oh, hi Paula. This brings us this beautiful, beautiful opportunity of checking in the moment. Hi Maria, to see what is right for us. It's like an ongoing recalibration that is being called for. What is right action in the moment, and how can I bring myself in to make the choices or make the action that is actually going to be in highest and best service to my own path or to the person that is in front of me and who I am in honour or service to at that particular point. So we are in an ongoing process. And as I say, if we can be with, hi Says, if we can be with what that is offering us and sit with the contraction, as I did over this last weekend. Saturday felt like it was a really expansive, high energy day. Sunday morning, it was like there was a sort of a real shutdown to the energy that I was experiencing, and it's being present with that because there is a real value in us being able to be awesomely okay with these two different polarities of experience, coming into this place of sitting with the tension or the fact that you know there is a question mark that goes, well, what happened? Where did the high vibe, light, buzzy energy that I was experiencing on Saturday disappear? And it's allowing that reframe, allowing that energy to inform us what needs to be seen, what needs to be attended to. Maybe it's another refinement of our food. You know, whatever the vibration of the food is that we are choosing to put into our bodies is becoming more and more important because we feel the effect. We feel what happens when we put perhaps denser foods into our bodies. And this refinement of the process is allowing us to hold ever more light in every cell of our bodies, which is absolutely, you know, what enlightenment is, what this awakening process is, that we can turn what is basically a carbon-based body and hold it with much more crystalline attention and awareness, that this is actually the frequency that we are being called to hold in this new template. And this is the template in the temple that we are being asked to refine and to honor. So, you know, if you're feeling that things are falling away, or you're feeling that there is such a lot of change that's going on, the only path that it is bringing us in is actually back into center. Hi, Laurie. Back into center, back into this alignment within, and allowing us to operate from that true center. So this is a continual wake up to coming in and coming home, coming back into home. Hi, Erica. So this pathway is in my view a pathway of inner mastery. It's calling us to be fully present, and it's calling us to be masters of this vessel and masters of the choices and the decisions that we're making that are taking us out in thanks, Erica. It's part of the new look, well, the new old look. I'm finding that there's a whole shift that's going on, which I'm being entertained by and just quite enjoying playing with, really. So yeah, I'm preparing to be amazed every time. It's quite amusing, really. So we're being asked to just effortlessly and easily flow with what presents, and just follow the energy, follow where the flow seems to be going. And as I said right at the beginning of this video, you know, this is I'm being called to another level of my work. I'm called back into writing. There are all sorts of new things that are occurring, and yeah, I'm just allowing it to flow, as I know so many of you are. You know, those of you that I have you know, connection with on Facebook, I see the shifts and the fact that we're just being able to follow what feels authentic, what feels to be right alignment, what feels to be the truth for us, and that really is our way shower. That's the piece, you know, that's the light beam that we need to follow, because that's clearly illuminating a path. It's illuminating a pathway forward for us, and there is deep trust in that process. So, you know, what is this? I mean, this place of this new moon, as I say, for me, it took me into a real contracted place before there was an opening out again. And this trusting the process, that in fact, when we go into these contracted places, you know, the one thing that we know is all things will pass. And so when we can be present with it, can get the message, it allows for the energies to open up again, and to shine another light. And sometimes we're being asked to take a view that gives us a different perspective, you know, following where things stall, where we think that we are on a path and then all of a sudden the road stops. And it's like, well, it may actually just be a pause, because actually it's waiting for something else to come in, another little piece of information that comes in that allows us to come back in and onto that path again, but with a different perspective. And sometimes it's just as simple as having a conversation with a mate, having a conversation with one of your soul sisters, that actually brings another little piece of light in, and you come in on a different perspective and a different trajectory. this month is really the preparation month for going into the eclipse season. So we're running into the eclipses in July. So this new moon and this full moon are calling us to dive deeper and deeper, to release, to clear, to align, so that we can really fully step into this next phase. And these eclipses will be real pulse points. They're going to be super strong for us. Yes, Paul is saying that it's, you know, it's the authentic path, the way shower. And absolutely, when we follow what's true for us, we know that those that we've come to serve along the pathway can fully step forward for us, knowing that we are actually hearing and dancing to the sound of our personal drummer. Actually, we are in that place of knowing and recognizing that authentic frequency. And it is all frequency. It's about understanding what's true and aligned for us, and what's true and aligned for those that are around us. And this is why there is a feeling of a sort of almost a changing of the guard that's going on. There are those, oh hi Julia, there are those that are coming even closer aligned as we walk on this path of our own authentic truth. And there are those that are falling away because actually the alignment isn't right just now. And it's trusting that and allowing it to be, and allowing it to, you know, to be awesomely okay to do some of this journey alone. I know for me, it's been one of the biggest challenges for me is in accepting that actually when we are in deep incubation, shall I say, of a big step forward again in our path, or a significant rebirthing of our story or our journey, that often there is a period when we really do have to walk that path alone. And it's not necessarily the easiest of things to do. And I really hold a strong connection to those that find this path of, I hermit very well. So it's not that I can't hermit. It's just the fact that actually part of the soul's longing, of course, is connection. Anyway, shall we see what the roses have got to offer us for this particular rose heart reading? So are you drawn to rose card 1? Are you drawn to rose card 2? Or are you drawn to rose card 3? And these all have a different flavour of message for us, of course, but when we put them together, they give us a real sense of the energy that's around us for this upcoming period, for this next piece of the journey. So if you are drawn, to rose card 2, if you're drawn to rose card 1, hi Jolie, she is Rose Ma 4. Now Rose Ma 4 calls us into deep nurturing and self-care. So it may be, if you were, hi Babita, if you were drawn to rose card 1, she is saying to you, where's your priorities? Is there anything here that you need to refine, that you need to shift in order to bring you ever deeper into an alignment and self-care? What is it that you could do that would actually bring a deeper level of nurturing and nourishing into your field? Or is there somewhere in which you need to step forward in your mother, divine mother energy? Is there anywhere that you've been working from a much more divine masculine perspective, or an old paradigm of masculine perspective. And actually the universe is calling you to honor, to acknowledge, and to step forward into a much more divine feminine aspect of yourself, to explore that. Is there anywhere that your family or your connection is asking you to step into the role of Divine Mother energy in a clearer way? This rose says, I am nurturer. So these different aspects of nurturing, nurturer, nurturing, motherer, mothering are part of this. Is there any healing that needs to be done on your female family line? Is there anything else that needs to be cleared around your relationship with your mother? These are all different perspectives that could come from the connection with this card. You know, what is your relationship with the words, I am nurturer? Is there a pullback, or is there a pulling into and saying, no, this is a template that I know. I am nurturer. I know how to nurture myself, and when there is right alignment, I hold that template of space for others. So there she is. She is Rose Ma 4. Beautiful energy, one of the Alhambra roses, for those of you that know the Alhambra story. So if you were drawn to Rose card 2, she is Rose Ma 10. So we've had 2 of these Rose Ma roses up tonight. So this is really calling us into so the Rose Ma roses were the last 11 roses that came together before the set was printed in this original set. And the Rose Ma roses said that they were the qualities of the awakened and empowered feminine heart field, and that is in both men and women. When the masculine heart is awakened, there is a very strong feminine awareness and a strong feminine balance in the male field when he allows his feelings, his feeling nature to be incorporated into his life. So I'm going to hold it up better because the light here is quite strong. So you can see she is an absolute beauty, this rose. She's one of my favourite roses. I have her in a scarf, which I travel with. So she says, I am compassion. So this place of the compassionate heart and this, oh, Laura, lovely. So Laura's just said that she bought the deck and it arrived last week. I'm so pleased. I'm really relieved when I know that that when I've posted something, it's actually arrived safe and sound. So this rose says, you know, I am compassion. So this for me is this weave of the heart and the solar plexus. When we allow ourselves to be compassion in action, this is when this energy goes into the world. So we are called to activate and illuminate our heart fields, but we are also called to have, hi P, we're also called to have a very active solar plexus. Thank you P. We are called to have an active and powerful solar plexus, because unless we have that in place and we have a strong place in which we can hold personal will. And these two chakras are directly connected. You know, if we have contraction or a tension on the solar plexus, it impacts on the heart. The heart closes or becomes a very protective field to try and support the solar plexus. When our solar plexus is feeling empowered, when we are feeling in our true alignment, the heart radiates, the heart opens. So we know that actually we are called to be compassionate action in service. And so when we can take this compassionate action into the world, this is when we are in divine service to our path. I'll move her up again so that you can see her fully, because I think that, as I say, the light is very powerful in the glass room here, but it's where I was called to do the reading, so I'm just trusting that process too. So she has almost a luminous center to her, and pink gold for me is the field of the heart. It's not, you know, this rose actually has a little bit of green into the center of the rose, but the pink gold is a really pure activator of the alignment here. So if you were called to Rose Card 2 today, as I say, she's Rose Ma 10, and she is asking you to step into your full power as a carrier wave of compassionate action in the world. And can I say that that isn't necessarily a passive piece either, that actually compassionate action can also hold fierce feminine. Sometimes we are being called to hold really good boundaries, and particularly those of us that have that carry empath sensitive energy. We have had to learn through our path of mastery to have good boundaries, and sometimes compassionate action calls us to have compassion for self and the other and say no, that this is the right action, and this is compassion for self. So don't mistake her for passive, and that we need to roll over and just, you know, flow with this. Sometimes there is a fierce feminine. Thank you, Vicky. Yeah, it's a fierce feminine that is called for, that has good boundaries. And this is our empowerment piece that carries this pure energy of compassionate wise woman. And again, we've spoken of this before, that the wise woman has got a very strong connection between the heart field and the solar plexus. So if you were drawn to Rose Card 3, she is Rose 4. Now it's very interesting, in some of the pieces that I've been reading around the new moon, particularly the new moon yesterday, there is some Mars energy that's in here connected into the activity that's going on in the chart. And Mars energy can, you know, bring us into conflict. It can also bring up anger, residual anger. And this rose is part of the original 11 roses, and she sits on the liver, and she asks that we really become uber aware when we have been triggered, when there is an energy charge on an action or circumstances that triggers anger within us. And anger is quite a useful energy because it's certainly not stuck. It's got an activity to it that can move us. It can trigger us from a place of stuckness, of not really seeing a way forward. It can move our energy and block energy. And actually the liver, when it's, you know, activating well in the body, of course, is the major detoxifying organ in the body, and it allows flow. It allows us to release old stuff. It allows us to really connect and move through. The liver also has a connection to our eyesight. Any issues around eyesight will often stem from a blockage in the liver. So maybe it's about not seeing things, or not seeing things from a healthy perspective. And maybe we only have one view on something, and we need to take a slightly different angle and view. The other thing that I've also found with liver issues, that liver and anger are the gatekeeper for grief. So often when we find that there is anger that is being triggered, it is because we have not addressed some deep grief, which of course is held on the lungs, and that is calling us for our attention. It's a calling for a resolution. It's a calling for sometimes an honouring of a situation or a circumstance that we have in error condoned in the past, somebody's behaviour that we've made excuses for, or we've turned a blind eye to, which actually, when we connect with it fully, is brings up a lot of residual stuff that we've not processed. This has been a rose that I have worked a lot with, because from my childhood I had a lot of frozen anger. My father had anger issues, and he had an attraction to alcohol, shall we say, which I now know was to numb out his own pain from his own childhood and his experiences in his teenage years and in the war. But it didn't help a sensitive child who had to process and work with exploding anger and a real fear of my father. So my anger got frozen, because actually if I expressed feelings, it didn't end too well for me. I got beaten. So this is an energy that I have worked a lot with, in allowing for forgiveness, and also for allowing for this rose to actually unfreeze the energy that was blocked in my liver, so that it allowed for flow. It allowed that energy to release, and for it to have a healthy connection to anger. Anger, as I say, is a motivating force. It can, and there is righteous anger, and there is anger about things that occur that we're having to see in the world. There is anger about what is happening to our planet. There is anger about what is happening to the animals. But we need to flip that and not stick in it, but to feel that energy, but understand that we need to take it to another level to understand where we can turn that into a proactive force, not a destructive force in the body. Because when anger sits in the body, it becomes very corrosive. You know, when we hold anger and blame at somebody else's behaviour, it doesn't hurt them, it only hurts us. And again, this is something that I've worked with personally a lot. I have become a master or a mistress of dealing with this particular rose, and the liver and the toxicity of unprocessed or being unable to deal with these emotions. So these are the roses. So if you've were drawn to rose card 3, just explore what your relationship is with anger, and whether there is anything that is coming up that's triggering, that needs to be dealt with. I know that the relationship is very potent at this time. So for many people, there have been triggers within relationship that need to be addressed and dealt with. So our 3 roses for this time: I am nurturer, owning that aspect of self, nurturing self, and being a force for good in nurturing others in our families, our birth families, our soul families, and understanding ourselves as a force for good on the planet. I am compassion, recognizing when you need to be the fierce feminine when compassionate action and forgiveness is required for there to be a softness in the way of the world, and this place of activating and being in the flow of your life. So as ever, you can put a glass of water on these and create through epitaxy an osmosis of the energy imprint here to go into the water, so that you can drink the energy, and it then activates and clears. Hi Renee. It activates and clears and nurtures and nourishes the body at a cellular level. And powerful roses for us to work with. So that's the energy update for the month. And actually, I don't know why. I was going to bring you in my big sounding bowl today and actually work with the big sounding bowl. But I don't know what I've done with the stick now. I have got my bowl here, but I haven't got a stick. So actually, what I'm going to do is just sound it. So, as I say, with lots of love and rosy blessings from the glass room in the Rosy Temple here in the New Forest, with my hedge of roses behind me here, that actually probably next week will be super glorious. What else have I got to tell you? Oh, I've got a fabulous sound event here over the equinox weekend. RJ, who is an amazing sound healer that works mostly in Thailand and is going back out to New Zealand and China and Vietnam in the autumn to be working with his sound healings. He's going to be here on the Sunday after the equinox. I can't remember the date, 23rd or something like that, 23rd or 24th. I've got a goddess retreat day, an inner goddess retreat day on the Saturday that weekend. And on the last weekend of June, I've got a beautiful weekend working with creating sanctuary space for your soul and space clearing and creating high frequency 5D energy templates and grids to activate and high vibe your space. So they're all on the website, rosealchemy.com. And if you're interested about what more that I do with sacred spaces and healing and activating spaces, that's all on sandyhumby.com. Meantime, the sun is shining and my good friend Clara is going to arrive shortly and for a cup of tea, and I shall see you all soon. Love and rosy blessings. Bye for now. Bye-bye.